To start off my speech, I was in Nairobi a few days ago. And how many of you are from Nairobi? If you're from Nairobi, no mkono. Wase wawili tu pekee. Sisi wengine tunatoka wapi? Sisi wengine tunatoka Kisii. Amazing. So I was in Nairobi recently, and when I was in Nairobi, huwa napenda kutumia Super Metro because number one, it's cheap. Sijui kama mshawahi notice that Super Metro kutoka Tao hadi Thika ni 70 bob. Super Metro kutoka Tao hadi wapi? Hadi Juja ni 70 bob. Super Metro kutoka Tao hadi Ruiru bado ni 70 bob. Huwa hai make sense. So huwa napenda kutumia Super Metro because it's easy to use. But so something happened recently. I was using Super Metro, and that was my last time nilijiambia I will never use this thing again. I was seated. It was very, very early in the morning. I was leaving Thika to go to CBD to do a meeting. And while I was traveling, kulikuwa na jamaa mwenye hapo kwa stage ya Thika. Alikuwa amedishi mayai na masosi because unajua what they are busy. It was like around 6 a.m. in the morning. So alikuwa amedishi mayai karibu 4, and I was there. I was wondering, okay, labda ninja kula sapa. So while that was happening, we ended up sitting together in the same place in the vehicle. However, 5 minutes after the vehicle started moving, it started getting hot inside the vehicle. If you don't get it, forget about it. It started getting hot inside the vehicle. Now, I was looking at other people. Kila mtu amekaa ameshtuka. We know who has done it. But hakuna mtu mwenye anataka kusema kitu. So, the reason why I was giving you that story is that climate change is like us in that vehicle. There is something that is happening within us that in reality is becoming toxic, but all of us are looking at each other and we are doing nothing about it. So because we don't have that confidence to speak out, we don't have that confidence to open the windows, we don't have the confidence, or even we are not aware of what we need to do, tunakaa tu hapo and we look at each other while our planet is dying. So for us, in our case, tulikuwa tunateseka, tunakufa, tunakohoa, but there's nothing we were doing inside that vehicle. So don't be like us, especially on the subject of climate action. I used to think that, especially kwa hii subject ya climate action, I didn't used to understand it kabisa. Until recently, thank you. I was waiting. Nilikuwa napiga story nikingojea projector ikuje on. Until recently, we acquired 3 acres of land in Bungoma, and we just wrote a proposal to Stanbic Bank to give us 5 million to start an agricultural project huko. So in that process of doing the proposals and all of that is when I really went deep into the subject of climate action. Now, this is a data and statistics, and thank you, Daktari, for starting off with. I love statistics too. Are you aware that Africa contributes less than 4% of global emissions? Less than 4% of global emissions. Yet we are the most affected by the global emissions that are coming from the US, from Japan, and other parts of the country. Sijui kama this happened to you, but when I was in high school, I used to be a very quiet person. Nakaa nyuma kama ule jamaa wa white, ama ule msupa mwenye akona goggles. I used to stay at the back, nimenyamaza, nimetulia. But I used to have this deskmate mwenye alikuwa anapiganga kelele sana, anakuja anapiga story, and whenever a teacher would enter, anakuja na anasema roho yote, kila mtu kwa roho ya mwisho, amkeni tokeni nje. So I didn't make a mistake, but I was implicated because other people had already made mistakes. So like Africa right now, we are suffering, yet hata sisi wenyewe, we are not contributing to global emissions globally. However, if we keep quiet and if we don't defend ourselves, we are still going to suffer. I was doing a research and I discovered they say that by 2050, for those of you who want to go and live in Mombasa, there are 2 coastal cities by 2050 that will be completely submerged underwater. That's shocking. Because recently, when we were having floods, something interesting happened. The places zenye tulikuwa tunafikiria are the most secure and the most safe, those estates zenye tunaonanga ni za matajiri, all of them were submerged. Meaning that there is going to be a part of Kenya and a part of Africa that is going to be negatively affected, such that we are going to lose even residential places. Statistically speaking, we lose up to around, in East Africa alone, we lose on an annual basis, we lose up to 17,000 people due to issues that deal with climate change. That is flooding. That includes like people who are going and they are doing all of those mining activities. 17,000 people die annually because of climate change. Manze, naona hamshtuki. Hizi vitu haziwashtui. Naona hamshtuki kabisa. And so out of those 17,000 people, one of them might be your relative. One day unaweza kuwa unasafiri hivi, umepanda matu unaenda Nairobi, and a storm hits you and you don't recover from it. That's why global sustainability, especially on the subject of climate action, is serious and is paramount. And that's why as Kenya, I was doing a research of what President Ruto was doing. There are things he's doing right, but also there are things that he's doing wrong. I will not speak about the things he's doing wrong. I will only, like a patriot, I will speak about the things that he's doing right. So the first thing that I need us to understand, especially when it comes to youth sustainability, especially on the subject of climate change, is why youth leadership is urgent. I don't know if it is part of that. Go to the next slide. No. Go back. Stay there. The reason why youth need to be involved, especially in the subject of climatic action, and to really be invested in it. Najua kuna wase you don't even know what I'm talking about, but please just listen, utapata points later. So, climate change. Climate change is like your phone. Let me use a close example. Juzi, when I was still in Nairobi again, nilikuwa nimepanda mat. So, nilikuwa nimepanda mat hivi and I had not charged my phone the previous day. So, nimekaa hivi kwa matatu and my phone switched off and I was not aware. Nikafika, nikakuwa harassed na makanga. Nikakuwa depressed. Si ati sina do. It's just that my phone went off and I was not aware. So when it comes to the issue of climate change, it is like your phone. It drains faster than expected, but if you don't take action as soon as possible, we will be destroyed without even knowing. That's why you need to be very, very serious about it. And there are few people who are really involved, especially on the subject of climate change. There's a guy here in Kenya, I have personally met him, and he's called Zambe Mate. He came up with a concept and he wrote it to the United Nations of how he can be able to turn plastic waste into bricks. And right now, I was speaking to him, I asked him, he is around 26 years old, and I was asking him, how much money have you made from this your project? And he told me that his net worth was like around $1 million as per then. That was part of last year. So, sorry? Am I doing something wrong? All right. So I'm saying that he came up with a concept of turning plastic waste into bricks. There's another guy who came up with a concept of turning banana leaves, these banana peelings, into sanitary pads. And he went to the United Nations. He's a very close friend of mine. He's a student at University of Nairobi. Came up with the concept, took it to the president. The president pushed to the UN, and he went to over 6 countries just pushing that agenda. Right now, as we are speaking, he dropped out of school. You should not do that. But he dropped out of school, and he has been able to implement that over 7 nations just because of an idea that came with something of sustainability and climate action. So all of those things, apart from like the financial side of it, the level of empowerment, I don't know how much is a sanitary pad. How much is a sanitary pad? 80 shillings. His sanitary pad, I think, costs like around 50 shillings. Because now it does not require a lot of industrial and mechanical processes. Just taking something that is easily used by many people and converting it. I don't know how he did it. Hadi wa leo sijui what happened, but he did it anyways. So there's a way we can be able to, as young people, when we are able to invest in it, we can be able to make Kenya a better place. There's this African proverb that says, if you think you're too small to make a difference, then you should try sleeping in a room with a mosquito. The same way unaweza kaa kwa nyumba na umbu iko hapo inakuuma, inakupigia kelele, huwezi lala, utaamka, is the same way all of us have the ability to make impact, especially on the subject of sustainability and climate action in our own small way. And so, as I come to almost, I'm going to finish 3 times, but as I almost finished the first time, what is it that we can be able to do as young people in our small way to invest on the subject of climatic action? Number one, invest in agriculture. Invest massively on the subject of agriculture. And this is something I will tell you because personally for me, it has worked for me. Recently, I just did a call with someone yesterday. He was looking for like around, desperately looking for around 100 bags of maize. And he was willing to pay like around 5,000 shillings because I think they're having an event somewhere and they do not have any leads for someone who is able to give that amount immediately. Personally, in our store, we have like around 40 bags of maize. So I told him I can get 40 for you and then I will inquire about it. So when I began to make inquiries, I discovered most people have not invested in agriculture. Every person who has invested in agriculture, in a way, they are contributing to the climatic change of Africa. Because you have done agriculture, most of you. You know the impact of what happens to the soil and the nutrients, the health of the soil, limiting soil erosion, and all of those things. Investing agriculture is investing in the food supply and the food basket of Kenya. The moment you are able to take yourself there as a young person. I was having a conversation with, what's her name? Charlene Ruto. Charlene Ruto, I don't know some of you who saw that post. She was looking for 47 county representatives who can help us drive the subject of agriculture. And every county representative was being paid a salary of 150,000. And the criteria was any young person who does any type of farming. That means, hadi ungekuwa na kuku 20, she would have considered you. But she told me that she's having a challenge because most young people are not investing in agriculture. Right? Most of us are looking for white-collar jobs. We are looking for these things. Now, I've been to the US before. And you go to the US, an avocado is like around 500 shillings. Hiyo avocado yenyewe tunadishi hapa na 20 bob is 500 shillings. Because those people, in a way, they did not find a way to heavily invest in terms of the agricultural space of that nation. So as young people, we need to bring ourselves back to a point where we can invest in agriculture. If you are coming at home, uko home kwenyu pali mko na shamba, try and invest in these things. There are these avocado seeds. There's a factory here. I don't know where it is, Mwalim. There's a factory that is just imefunguliwa. I don't know if it's around Kaimosi. And it's an avocado processing farm. And they were paying people 50 shillings per no, is it 50 or 70 shillings per avocado? Just to take your avocado there and to process it. They pay a lot of money. But then again, they approached us and they told us, as you are planning to set up your farm, invest in avocado. So I began to wonder, how can I invest in avocado? Yet, Sisi, we want to do a lot of farming in terms of cows and all of those things. And then now we came up with a strategy because it's a 3-acre piece of land. We decided to plant trees and avocado seeds next to each other all along kama fence, so that it does not take us any time and effort. Tunayacha tu ikitaka ime ikikataa ikatae, but we would have invested in it. Right? So if you are able to look at it from that perspective and begin to invest in agriculture, you will be driving sustainability. Tell your neighbor, manze, msikwe hivyo, tell your neighbor, invest in agriculture. Because if you don't invest in agriculture, tutakula nini next year, manze? So we need young people from this forum who can heavily invest in agriculture. Number 2 is we need to come to a point whereby we have power as young people. We need to heavily invest in terms of raising awareness. And raising awareness, you know how we can do that. Venye tulifanya tu maandamano is the same thing we can be able to do as young people. Every time, this is a challenge I'm giving us, every time you are doing a post, why don't you just create a hashtag on every post? It won't cost you anything. Don't even create content that has to do with agriculture or climate change or anything like that. Just put a hashtag, climate change. The more you begin to do that, the more it drives. There are people who are seriously fighting for this thing. The moment that thing becomes overwhelming, there is a way that inatupatia a positioning before certain serious people, and it can give us a voice. So that is number 2, raising awareness. Right now, I'm going to give us a challenge. To this week alone, just create a single post about climate action. Just a single post about climate action. I want you to go on a hike if you can, and just take a video about how the forests are beautiful, and just make a statement, protect our forest. That's all. If you can be able to do that, we are almost 100 of us in this place. We can be able to change something. Meget. I'm almost done. Number 4, number 3, is that we need to take a lot of action in terms of our local residences. We can do that through planting trees, cleaning up rivers, and I think most has been very big on that. Right now, I'm supposed to be somewhere else. I think with the Rotaract Club, they're doing some cleaning. I don't know, in the school. So promoting sustainability in terms of farming, and even as simple as beshtako medishi mekunywa soda, just tell him atafute a dustbin na tupe. Is that too hard? Wazito, is that too hard? Right? So mmetoka kukunywa soda, just tell someone, don't throw it, mko kwa maji, mmekunywa soda, mwambie atafute tu, angoje mfike utupe hiyo chupa vizuri. Vitu as simple as those. There's this analogy that I like using, that a single raindrop may seem small, but millions together can create a flood. If all of us take small steps, we can create an unstoppable wave of change. And this is a quote that I'm going to finish with, especially on this subject of youth sustainability, is that the best way to predict our future is by creating it. We can be able to decide of Kenya and how our country is going to look like next year and in the next 30 years, because all of us, the age range here is between 19 to 25. If you're older than 25, sema, hey. 25. Ayo many chocha manzi. Hakuna mtu anakaa mbaba hapa. All of us are between that age range, 19 to 25, and then a few are above it. However, in the next 10 years, all of us will be siring children. All of us will be having jobs in these cities that we are going to be positioned in. If we do not do anything on this subject of youth sustainability, we are going to lose out. We are going to come to a place whereby we will now begin to struggle with oxygen. You begin to find people, by the age of 40, they are having lung cancer because the emissions are too much. You're going to find our waters are going to be too dirty, and we'll be paying a lot of money so that we can drink water, something that God gave us for free. That is why we need to invest heavily in this issue of action, of youth sustainability and climate action. Again, another challenge, manze. I know these things, you see them online, but you do nothing about it. Go and plant just a tree. Is that too hard? Okay, nani hawezi afford kupanda mti hapa, nimpatie pesa ende apande. If you can't afford, I'm gone. Huwezi afford mti? How much is one seedling? Huh? One seedling is 10 shillings. Huh? 100. Sawa, na kutumia so moja. Immediately after this, when si mmesema mungesema 1,000 ningetuma 1,000, but amesema so. So I will send you 100 shillings, you go and plant one tree. And this is a challenge to all of us. 100 shillings is not too much. The way nawaona hapa, nyinyi mnakaa mabazu. Nyinyi wote mnakaa mabazu. Tukiamua tupande miti milioni moja, all of us can do it. So I encourage us to begin to invest in that. In our homes, let's invest in that.